Good morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Oh, it's weird to see the lights adjust with the camera. Anyways, we are on day 35 of our introspective journey. And if you're just not joining us, don't worry. It's not something that has to be done in a specific order. And if you're coming back with us, thank you for coming back. I hope that you're getting a lot out of these videos. The goal is to just spend some time with yourself, to nurture yourself and learn more about yourself and understand yourself better so that you can make the changes that you want to make and that you can try to become your ideal self. So, like I said, we're on day 35. The question today is, have I balanced myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and in my environment? So there are 5 aspects of self. So we have our emotional self, our feelings, our overall well-being. We have our social self, so how we involve with other people. We have our environmental self, so that's literally your environment, your ecosystem that you live in, your home, your community, your life. And then we have our mental self, and then so that's like thinking, doing, action. And then we have our spiritual self. And I feel like this is one of those constant things of balance that we're seeking. For many, many years, when my previous coven would discuss balance, this was one of those hot topics because everybody saw balance differently. And after many years of debating and negotiating and talking and explaining and hearing and listening and all of those things, we kind of got to this point where when we talk about balance, you remember in the 80s, they had those balls that had the sphere around it that you could stand on, and the goal was to be balanced, and you were on this ball and there was a full circle around you. And that's kind of how we got to the point of visualization on balance, because it's not a scale, it's a circle. It's something that goes all around you. And it's easy to tilt to one way or the other way, or think that you found balance because you've got balance between two things, but you're still teetering on the other sides. So it is like a constant balance game that we play. And when you're in the middle of it, sometimes it's hard to see that, oh, hey, I'm not spending any time with this, or hey, I'm spending way too much time at work, or I'm spending too much time in my imagination, or whatever it may be. So that's the point. That's the goal of today's question, is to think about, have you found balance in those aspects of your life? Do you spend too much time with your friends, or not enough time, or do you spend too much time worrying about what other people are thinking, or dwelling on your own feelings, or working on something in the future, or, just where are you putting your energy? And are you finding balance in all of those things? And again, when we talk about balance, it's not like I spend 5 hours a day doing this and 5 hours a day doing that and 5 hours a day doing this. Not everything is equally spaced out, and I make sure that every day I spend time doing all of these things and that they all get an even amount of time. When we're talking about equality, it's not even. Sometimes the quality of the time, it can only take 5 minutes to meditate. If you sat down every day for 5 minutes to meditate, it would change your life. And I'm not just saying that because I'm, my personal perspective, but this is a scientifically proven through modern and ancient scientific methods. This is something that's just known. If you spend 5 minutes a day meditating, it will improve your spirituality, it'll improve your emotional well-being, and those things will ripple out into the other parts of your life. But that's only 5 minutes. And just taking that 5 minutes can really help you find this balance, because like I said, it will benefit these other areas of your life. So it doesn't say, okay, I worked for 8 hours, now I have to do my spirituality for 8 hours, or I spent the last 5 hours thinking about my feelings, and now I got to spend the next 5 hours talking to other people or going out and fixing my environment. Which, by the way, is one of those places that is often neglected when we talk about the aspects of life, because it's in your face all the time, and we just kind of like let that go. But your environment is important, and where you live, and the world around you, and the home that you create, and the community that you create, and this ecosystem that you live in is important. It's very important to your overall mental health. It's important to your social and your emotional development. And so don't forget about that one, I guess. Is the point of that. Anyways, so when we are finding that balance, you don't have to be critical of yourself and saying that I need to have this much time spent in each one of these things. I need to schedule this out and make it like. It's more important that you find quality things to fulfill those needs. So like I said, 5 minutes of meditation, or maybe 5 minutes of journaling, or just thinking about the 5-minute thing. I really am big on this because 5 minutes isn't that long. And when I was a teenager, there was that guru out there who was like, 1 minute, it only takes 1 minute, or 5 minutes, or do you just take this to do it and you can get it done? And that's really what I took away from all of that. This 5 minutes. If we do something for 5 minutes every day, it will make a difference. And so if you find that when you start to think about it, your different areas of life, and you're like, well, I'm spending a lot of time thinking about my social interactions instead of also focusing on how I feel, or maybe focusing on my own spirituality and developing as a person in my own. So we just have to take that time to make sure we are finding that balance, and the balance that works right for us. My balance is not going to be the same as your balance, and it's not going to be the same as somebody else's. And like from my own personal experience and trying to assess my own balance and trying to find examples from external sources, and like, oh, what does this person say, or what does my coven think, or what does my family think, or what does everybody say about this? It was very, very challenging to let go of what they were doing and find my own balance. And I still even struggle with it often. It's a constant thing because you're so involved with other people, and you have your life and you have your work, and things take over, especially when you're a parent, or you have a career that you're really focused on, or you have like this thing that you're doing. So you just have to be mindful of that. We come back to this mindfulness. When you're mindful of the situation, okay, then it makes it easier to say, hey, one of the most beautiful ways I love to honor my own spirituality is to take those 1 minute to see something beautiful. The light shining on my compost back there in the camera is amazing. It's beautiful. It's like gold from my compost. But just seeing that and just taking a moment to recognize that connects with my spirituality. That connects me with the earth. That connects me with this energy. And it only took, 2 seconds to say, hey, look, there's the light gleaming on the compost back there. You can't even see the compost because it's gleaming so brightly. But what a beautiful thing. And just to take that small little moment to recognize that and honor that and take that breath in. The astrologer that I watch, she's constantly talking about taking a moment to take small baby earth breaths. And they're not small breaths, but what she's saying is you're taking in this small piece of the earth like you were an infant taking energy from your mother. And so you just take those moments, really absorb that earthly energy and feel it. And okay, and even just taking that one little moment is a great way to honor yourself and to honor your spirituality. And it doesn't take setting up an altar and putting on your ritual garb and doing the whole spiel. We get caught up in thinking, oh, I got to do a huge thing. And that's beautiful. Do that when the time is ready, or when you need that, or when you're ready for that, or when you have time for that. But on a day-to-day basis, spend that time thinking about your own spirituality. The same thing goes with your emotional health. If you're spending all day thinking about your feelings and how everybody's making you feel, or how whatever, maybe you're just simply spending too much time dwelling on that thought, and that's why it won't go away. Sometimes we have to move forward. We have to let go. We have to move on. And that can be hard with our feelings because we have that ability to relive the situation over and over and over and over again. So sometimes you just have to say, okay, I have to just move forward. We have to think about other feelings. We have to think about other things. Maybe focus on my mental health and on learning something new and engaging my brain and curiosity, and or maybe focus on your social health and say, hey, I need to go out and make some new friends. I found a new guru the other day, and he says if you're honest with yourself and true to who you are, the right people will come back into your life. And with the energy of Neptune right now, that is very, very much true. We just have Neptune come direct, and so it says, hey, let's all be direct. Let's all be forward. Let's all be true to ourselves. Let's let go of those past things, and let's be us. And as you're doing that, you're more likely to have the social interactions and that you need, that are true and pure, good social interactions. If when we're focusing on our social interactions, we're constantly thinking, why do I have this happen to me? Why do I have this happen to me? Why do I again and again get in these relationships? Those are the relationships you're going to get into continuously, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's the energy you're putting out into the world. If instead you said, hey, I'm going to live my true self, I'm going to be true to myself, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be content and happy with that, and then the social interactions that are true to you will come to you, and those interactions will happen, and you'll be able to do that. And you'll stop getting into the relationships that are trying to teach you the lesson. Because if you are asking for the lesson over and over and over again, why? Why did this happen to me? What did I do to do this? What series of events led up to me being in this destructive position? Then those are the things that are going to come back to you. Because, I mean, sometimes the divine will come and tell you. But most of the time, the divine and the energies and the spirits and the whatnots are there, not going to just say, hey, tap you on the shoulder. Well, you keep getting into these relationships because you have the tendency to seek out people who need nurturing and need to be taken care of, and then they end up taking advantage of you. And this is a repeating cycle because you are seeking this. They're not going to come tap you on the shoulder and say that. So what they're going to do is they're going to put somebody else in front of you. They're going to say, oh, you want to know why? Well, here's why. We'll put a sad puppy dog right in front of you, and you'll see, oh, no, sad puppy dog, I have to take care of you. And then you're back into this cycle. And it's hard when you're doing, you see this sad little puppy, you're like, I just want to bring the puppy dog home. Oh. Well, it's hard to see, oh, I saw a sad puppy dog. I felt like I needed to bring it home. And of course he needs me to feed him and take care of him and do all of these things for him because he's a sad puppy dog. And I am literally talking about a dog. I'm not making a philosophical whatever analogy. I'm like, there's a cat lady down the street and she's constantly got cats. And sometimes you wonder, does she think like, why do I have so many cats? It's probably because she's feeding them. She's like, oh, I see a sad little kitty cat. Let me bring it home. But it becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy and the way that that's what you're asking. And so that's the answer that they're going to give you. They're going to keep giving you that example until it clicks for you. So instead of focusing on why do I end up in these relationships, focus on being true to yourself. Like, I need to be this person because this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and I'm going to be me. And then those interactions will get better. You will even see the interactions you already have with your family and friends improve because now you are you, and it might weed out some people who are not good for you, and that's okay. But, you just have to spend a little time on that. There's a way tangent off the whole balance. But in that focusing, the purpose of the tangent, in focusing heavily on your social interactions, it's like smothering a butterfly. If we stop and we step back and we find our balance and we are able to shift into all of the different aspects of ourselves, then we can be true to ourselves. We can honor ourselves. We can, send out this energy in which we're going to get a positive return. I feel the ×3 thing is taken to this extreme negative place all the time and unnecessarily, because it's not just with that. It's with all things. That line in that poem is in reference to whatever energy we are creating in ourselves and then thus putting out into the world is the energy that is going to return to us. So if you're constantly thinking about how I don't have enough time to meditate, you're never going to have enough time to meditate, because that's what you're putting out into the world. If you're thinking, oh, I hate my house, I hate the world, I hate this place, blah, 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 I just hate, I can't do anything to fix it, well, then nothing is going to present itself in order to fix the problem. If instead we step back and we think, okay, I need to spend a little time focusing on myself. I need to spend a little time looking around the world. I need to spend a little bit of time cleaning up my space and thinking about different things that I can do in order to live the best life I can live and be the best to myself, and find this balance between all of the different aspects and not get caught up in one place or whatnot. And so don't take this question as a critical analysis of, oh, I need to... No, this is about finding your balance. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't hyper focus. Like, it's really easy to like point a finger and say, okay, this is it. And that is the moment of this question is, have you found that balance? Have you found quality time in each aspect of self? Have you honored yourself and all of the aspects of yourself? And how can you find ways to find that balance, to improve that balance, to maintain that balance? Because again, this isn't one of those things like, I'm going to get to this point and ding, now I have balance and it'll be like this forever, because the only constant in life is change. So things are going to change, and something's going to come up at work, or something's going to come up in your faith, or something's going to come up in your feelings, and you'll need that time to kind of shift, but then you need to be able to shift back. You need to be able to find that balance and keep that flow smooth, like those ball toys. Sometimes I want to go find one. I bet they're probably really expensive because they're antiques, but just as like a physical activity in order to represent your own balance, like it would be a cool meditative practice. I feel like to stand on one of those things and like really think about my balance and to physically feel that, and then emotionally be thinking about it. Tree pose is one of the ones that I use because I don't have a ball. Tree pose is a great balance thing. If you stand in tree pose and you really think about it and think about your balance, and then switch feet and stand in tree pose and think about it on the other side, and just really process that while you're physically balancing, it can help your brain expand and open your brain into this different train of thought. Like, okay, let me think about balance from a third party perspective, because it's really hard to see your own balance when you're in the middle of it. So it's a lot for today. It's a big question. I think it's one of the more challenging questions because it draws on so many different aspects, all 5 aspects of yourself. I was just thinking about, on top of the aspects of yourself, you have the hats that you wear throughout each one of those aspects, and that's just another level of that. But, sorry, down to the basic. When you're talking about this level of self and finding that balance between these aspects, it can be really overwhelming. And it's not, maybe you can get out your journal and write all of this down today and be like, okay, well, I spend this doing my spirituality, I do this for my mental health, I do this for my emotional health, I do this for my environmental, and I do this for my social health. And make that list and look at it. I guess it's a good way to start, because then you can see, oh, okay. But again, remember, it's not like each list needs to have 5 things on it. Each list has to have quality items on it that you are finding beneficial to your overall well-being. So, with that challenge, I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and that through this activity you find some healing and you find some enlightenment and some better self. So, many blessings to all of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions.